Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at this guy right here, a Game of Thrones Westeros Intrigue. Comes in a much smaller box than the Game of Thrones box that you might be used to, but that is because this is just simply a card game, a very simple, fast, light card game at that tries to simulate each house's rise to power as they try to clamor for the Iron Throne. So let's get down to the table and take a look, and we'll see what you think. In a game of Westeros Intrigue, each player is going to be having a hand of these cards here, and these cards are simply people from the different houses within the Game of Thrones universe, so to speak, and they're going to be playing these cards one at a time down onto a pyramid pattern on the board, and once you cannot play a card any longer, then you are out of the round. And then you have to wait until everybody else can't play any cards. Once no one can play a card onto the table, points are awarded. Basically, for every card that you have left, you must take one of these point tokens, and then whoever was the last person to play a card gets to take one of these Iron Throne cards. Iron Throne cards are worth negative points, so as you can see, we are actually trying to get the lowest number of points, and then if there's a tie, the person who has the lowest number of swords cumulative on their Iron Throne cards is the actual winner. I'll just give an example of a two-player game here. In a two-player game, 14 cards are dealt to each player. Any remainder of cards that are left in the deck are just set aside in a two-player game. In a three-player game, all of the cards are dealt out evenly, and then each player count all the way up to 6 has a different number of cards dealt to each player. But generally speaking, on your turn, you're going to play one card from your hand onto the board. Now, the first one simply gets played into the middle of the area like such, and when he is played there, that is considered the bottom row of that pyramid. Now, when the next person plays, they can play a card either on either side of that card. So, for example, player 2 might do something like this. All right, so now we have two cards there, and now it comes back to my turn, and I can play a card. I can play a card either here or here, but I cannot play in the middle on this row. Now, what I could also do is play a third card up here, and that will start the second row, but it has to match one of these two colors. All right, so what we're actually doing here is we're kind of simulating each family's rise to power to try and gain the Iron Throne. So if I wanted to, I could play something like this because it matches the yellow. Or I could play something like this because it matches the black. I could not, however, play that because it doesn't match either of these two down here. So, or I could, play one right here like this. All right, so we'll do that, and then somebody else, player 2, might play that, and then I will take and play this right here. Player 2 would possibly play something like that right there. Now, it is worthy of note here that the bottom row can never go more than 8. So you can't ever have more than 8 characters in the bottom row. That is modified to 7 with a two-player game, however. All right, so the game would continue like this. And at this point, I would have to pass because I cannot play any more cards. All I have is House Stark in my hand, and there are no other valid places to play House Stark. This was the last one right here, and yellow got played on it instead. So I'm out. So now my opponent can play as many cards as he possibly can. This one definitely cannot be played, so we'll just put that out of the way. This one can be played here. This one can be played up here, and then this one can be played here as well. All right, and then that's the end of the round. I have 3 cards left, so what I would have to do is take a total of 3 of these chips, like so, And then my opponent has 1 left, so all he would have to do is take a 1. He also gets to draw one of the Iron Throne cards, which will have a negative number of points on it and a number of swords down here. So he has 1 point right now, -3. So he actually has a score of -2, which in this game, of course, is really good. So then you play as many rounds as you have players. So in a 2-player game like this one, we would play 1 more round and see who has the lowest final score. So that is Westeros Intrigue. It is from Dr. Reiner Knizia, so it really is kind of par for the course, where the theme is just really kind of pasted on there. But that's okay. The mechanic is really simple. It's very easy. Not difficult at all. I think people who are fans of the Game of Thrones will probably enjoy this for the light filler game that it is. You know, the intrigue really comes into basically just trying to play your hand out and choosing which card is going to be your optimum play for that round based upon what everybody else is playing in the game. So it's not a whole lot of thought process that's going on there. I think sometimes it will be painfully obvious what you need to play, and then other times you'll be torn between 2 cards. You want to play this one or do you want to play this one? You can see how, since it is a limited number of spaces that are going to be on the board, you can see what is more important to play at what specific time. So as you can pretty much tell, it's very light filler. And it probably only takes about 15 to 20 minutes to play through an entire game, which is very good. It definitely finds its home in that filler area. The production of the cards is very nice. I don't like that they are black bordered again. It seems like a lot of companies are still doing this, knowing that the cards are just going to get ripped to shreds. Maybe they're thinking that you're not going to play it very often. I don't know. But pretty soon, this game, because of the black border nature of it, especially if you get a lot of play out of it, just not going to look very good, and you're probably going to look for another copy of it. Maybe that's what they have in mind. I have no idea. That's just my thoughts. I really do wish people would stop making black bordered card games, though, because the cards just do not hold up as well as a lighter color or a white bordered card. So there's that. Anyway, for what it is, a light filler, let's get this done while we're waiting on somebody else to show up, that kind of thing. This is where this shines. Otherwise, I think I'll pass on it from there. So for Westeros Intrigue, a Game of Thrones, I think I'm just going to give this half a thumb up, if that makes sense. Because I can see what it's worth and I won't mind playing it in that filler capacity, but at the same time, I'd much rather something else hit the table. So we'll see you on the flip side, folks.